It's English time! Come on and join me as we learn English the easy way!
Heads up everyone! I prepared another video lesson just for you. Listen carefully as we proceed with our discussion about story elements. Ready ka na ba? Tara! Start na tayo! The target most essential learning competency for this video is appraise the unity of plot, setting, and characterization in a material viewed to achieve the writer's purpose. Sino ba sa inyo ang mahilig manood ng films or movies? When you talk about a film you have watched, there is always a storyline creatively written by its writer. This storyline is made up of different elements that coherently keep the story together. Let us review some of these elements. So, ano-ano nga ba ang mga elements ng isang story or storyline? Narito ang mga pag-aaralan natin ngayong araw na to. Plot, setting, characters, conflict, and theme. In this video, I will be explaining these key components one by one. Let me begin with the first element, the plot. What is plot? Plot concerns the organization of the main events of a work of fiction. Students, please take note that plot has 5 parts. These parts can be illustrated through a plot diagram. This is an example of a plot diagram. As you can see, it is somewhat similar to the image of a mountain composed of base, a slope going up, then the peak or the highest point, then a slope going down, towards the last part, which is the opposite base. Similarly, the parts of a plot diagram are the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Let me now discuss each part. First is the exposition. It usually occurs at the beginning of a short story. Here, the characters are introduced. We also learn about the setting of the story. This section also presents other facts necessary to understanding the story. As mentioned, in the exposition part, the setting is revealed and the characters are introduced. Setting, in its simplest context, is the time and place where the story occurs. Here is a sample exposition. One sunny morning, Elisa, a 12-year-old girl, was sitting at their sofa watching TV, waiting for her mom to return home from the market. She was about to sip a glass of her favorite juice when she suddenly heard a knock on their door. In this example, the time is one sunny morning, and the place, although implied, is basically at the house. On the other hand, character is defined as the people or animals in the story. And in this example, the character is Elisa. It is common for a story to have 2 types of characters. The protagonist, or in our language, is the bida, and the antagonist, or what we call as the kontrabida. I believe you are all familiar with the legendary Filipino comic book entitled Darna, where Darna herself stands to be the protagonist, or the main character, while Valentina is the antagonist, or the bad character. Now let's proceed to the second part of the plot diagram, the rising action. This part includes all the events that lead to the climax. It also presents some type of conflict. Conflict is the struggle between two forces in the story. It also provides interest, suspense, and tension. Let's review the common types of conflict, which I know you have already learned in the previous years. Man versus man. In the given example, that is Cardo Dalisay against Bungo, the character of Baron Geisler, in the action TV series, Ang Probinsyano. Man versus society. Who can forget the box office hit Korean film, Miracle in Cell Number 7, that featured a mentally challenged man who was wrongfully imprisoned for murder? Man versus self. The character of Tom Rodriguez in the 2013 GMA TV series, My Husband's Lover, battled against himself as he tried to conceal his real identity of being gay. Man versus nature. A type of conflict presented in the 1997 American disaster film Titanic, whereby a luxurious ship hit a North Atlantic iceberg which caused many of its passengers to fight for their lives in order to survive. Man versus technology. So this picture is about an ordinary man fighting against Iron Man, a superhero created by advanced technology. Man versus supernatural. A conflict between a character and something that is not normal in some way. Supernatural elements include ghosts, omens, and superstitions. Let's proceed to the third part of the plot, which is the climax. It is considered to be the highest point. This is the turning point of the story. Usually, the main character comes face to face with a conflict. The main character will change in some way. In the climax, some questions will run into the minds of the reader. Will the character survive? What will happen when the main character and the killer meet? Will the husband and wife go in separate ways? And sort of things like that. Falling action is the fourth part of the plot. Here, the conflicts or the problems encountered by the main character are given solutions and starting to be resolved. The last part of the plot diagram is the resolution, where the story comes to a reasonable ending, or simply, it is the ending of the story. Now that we're almost done with our discussion, let's review. Basically, a short story has 5 parts. This illustration is a diagram of plot. Plot means the sequence or flow of events in a story composed of 5 parts. Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. In the exposition, setting and characters are revealed. Setting means the time and place where the story happens. Characters, on the other hand, are the people or animals that play certain roles in the story. The 2 types of characters are the protagonist and the antagonist. Meanwhile, on the rising action, it is where the conflict is introduced. Conflict is the problem or struggle faced by the main character, and it has different types. Man versus self, man versus man, man versus society, man versus nature, man versus technology, and man versus supernatural. And before I forget, another important element of a story is the theme. Theme is the life lesson, meaning, moral, or message about life or human nature that is communicated by a literary work. In other words, theme is what the story teaches readers. Here is a sample theme. Life is full of challenges. We may sometimes fail, we may sometimes fall, but never give up. We must continue the journey until we reach our goals. To help you fully understand the lesson, I'll show you a sample plot diagram of the well-known children's story, The Three Little Pigs. For the exposition, the three little pigs leave home to find adventure in the big world. While for the rising action, it consists of 5 important events. Event number 1, the pigs come across a beautiful clearing they think will be a perfect spot to build their homes. Event number 2, pig number 1 builds a house of straw. Pig number 2 builds a house of sticks. And pig number 3 builds a house of bricks. Event number 3, Big Bad Wolf blows the straw house down and pig number 1 escapes to pig number 2's house. Event number 4, Big Bad Wolf blows the stick house down and pig number 1 and number 2 escape to pig number 3's house. Event number 5, the Big Bad Wolf tries several times, but he can't blow down the brick house. For the climax, Wolf decides to sneak down the chimney to get the pigs. Falling action, Wolf falls into boiling pot of soup. And for the last part, the resolution, the Big Bad Wolf is so scared of the 3 pigs that he runs off in the woods never to be seen again. The 3 little pigs live happily ever after. Now let's respond to the following questions. First, what is the setting? The setting is the beautiful clearing where the 3 little pigs build their homes. Time was not exactly known, but it was the time their mother thought it was appropriate for them to leave the home. Who is the protagonist? The protagonist is pig number 3. Who is the antagonist? The antagonist is the Big Bad Wolf. What is the type of conflict? Man versus man. And the final question is, what is the theme? Hard work pays off. The foundation we build for ourselves is important because it determines the stability of our life in the future. Although it took long for the 3rd pig to build his house, but in the end, it was the one which saved them from the bad wolf.
Thanks for watching!